Well, hello and welcome back. Cheers, babe.
Cheers, babe.
All right.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. So to everybody listening and watching, thank you and welcome back. We did our last episode of the Take a Sip podcast back in June, right?
We had some life things that happened after that, and
For sure.
it was kind of good that we took the break. So now we're back and hopefully can keep this rolling and have at least 10 episodes in each season.
Yeah, for sure.
That's our goal.
Absolutely. So we did season one as kind of just a tester and trying to feel our way through. I think rather than being too much of a planner, I think we tried to just see how it developed organically, see kind of what felt right and what got response.
Yeah.
But it's really more for, that it needs to be genuine to us.
Right.
We met in our 40s. And so we do have, experience, but also thoughts, opinions about dating in general, dating at a certain time in your life.
Yeah.
We're talking about dating in middle age.
Right.
But we're, as a point of departure to get into that, we're talking about a show that we've been watching.
Yeah.
What's the name of the show?
And the show is called Later Daters.
Right. And so it's a show we didn't realize until recently was produced by Michelle Obama.
Yeah. And it's actually really, it's really popular. Like, it's getting a lot of buzz. I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that, like, Michelle Obama was involved in this show. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
There are 8 episodes.
Yep.
And so we have watched the first 2.
Yes.
But if you haven't watched that show, or even if you have no interest in that show, this episode and this podcast is not about that show.
No.
Again, we're talking more about relationships, dating in middle age, dating in general.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely enjoy the podcast, even if you don't watch the show. And I think you will find, especially if you're someone that's maybe in their 40s or 50s or 60s, a lot of this stuff might be even relatable, right?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. All right. So before we get into the show, like I said, we were both 44.
Yes.
We're now 56.
Yes.
And we just had our 9th/12th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we met in our 40s, which is kind of unique. But I wanted to ask you, before we get into this, did you have like a dating strategy when before we met? Not since we met, but did you have a particular strategy?
No, not really. The only thing that I did different before we met and for dating was that I just wrote a list. It was a wish list for my future partner. So if I had a strategy, that was the only thing I can think of that I purposely put thought behind.
It's the only thing you did strategically.
Strategically, yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Well, you were really pretty. So I don't know if that was a strategy.
Oh,
but
thank you.
It was effective.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, that was a good one. Good job on that. I wasn't single long enough to have a strategy.
Yeah. You just enjoyed being single.
I did enjoy being single for nearly a year before we met.
Yeah, enjoyed your little moment.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're cheersing to your little moment. Nice try.
So yeah, that's a term we coined a couple of years ago that I conceded.
Yeah.
That I did have a moment, which is just being a hoe, but just for me.
So going back before we dive into the show, just to mention briefly, in the show, if you haven't watched it, they have these individuals are talking to a dating coach.
Yes.
So my question is, like, would you have used a dating coach? Like that if somebody said to you, you're new to dating, Robert Branco, our firm, whatever firm you're working with, like one of the perks was like you could have a free dating coach.
That would be an interesting
offer. Would that be something you would have taken advantage of to use?
I don't.
Or are you too full of yourself? You wouldn't.
Probably, yeah. That.
Yeah.
No, but again, because I was divorced. I hadn't been divorced very long. I had only been really separated for about a year, when we met.
Okay.
And
right.
So I had hit it pretty hard during that year, dating wise.
Right.
But so I mean, never say never. That would have been kind of a foreign concept, right?
Yeah.
It certainly. But no, at my stage, you had been single a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
But at my stage, having been single less than a year, I was, how can we say, not having trouble getting dates.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow, he's kind of fully as that.
No, that is...
He braggy. He braggy, y'all.
Yeah.
I ain't having no problems getting no dates.
Meanwhile, Miss beautiful, ridiculously gorgeous influencer's like, I couldn't get a date. I was at home.
I was at home a lot of nights. And I think I asked that because I don't know, even for myself, if I would have accepted, like using a dating coach because
accepting that, you would have to concede that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
You know what? And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I don't.
But admitting,
I think in my mind, and especially, and I gotta admit, I have a bit of that now. In my mind, I didn't think a dating coach could tell me anything that I didn't know already.
Right.
And also, I felt like if somebody's gonna like me, they're gonna like me for me. For instance, like they will tell you, like I think you need to open up about yourself, or don't talk about blah 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 too much, and blah blah blah. Like I feel like it's almost kind of stifling me a little bit, and I would be too in my head. And for me, I would be thinking, I don't think that's going to make a difference.
Yeah. So, all right, explain to the audience what the show is about, the concept of the show, and how does it work?
Everybody on the show is over 50. So it's like the later part of your life. It's called Later Daters, right? So basically what they're doing is they're looking for love and looking for a partner. And the show is utilizing a professional dating coach who is working with each one of these individuals and letting them know how to present themselves better, right?
Coaching them on how to bait that hook to catch you a fish.
Well, pretty much. But the thing is, like, she's working with these individuals and trying to get them to see kind of where they've had some missteps in previous dating life, right?
Or how, based on an interview with them, things about you, their personality, their experiences that can either maybe things to move towards or things to move away from.
Yeah.
And give them kind of...
So the show will show the dating coach talking to the individual, and then you get to see snippets or, get to see their dates. Mm-hmm. So we've, like Rob said, we watched episode 1 and 2. Yeah. So we've seen their first date and their second date.
Well, for some folks, we haven't even met some of them.
Yeah, for some people, we've probably met. I think we've met half the people, right?
Yeah, I think 4 out of 6.
Yeah, okay.
They said there's 6. We've met 4.
So we've met 4 so far.
Yeah.
And they show their interaction with the dating coach. You also get to see a family member with them. So like most of them have like their daughter or their son or maybe a friend with them.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Nate.
Kind of when we're introduced to these people, right, and we're getting to know them.
Yeah, Nate's friend, it has a whole backstory.
Yeah.
But so we've watched 2 episodes, and so we're doing this. I think we're going to try to do 2 episodes per episode of the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we can kind of, and we are refraining from going further than that. So we don't know what happens in episode 3.
If you want to go and watch the show and then like follow along with us, you have plenty of time to do that.
Absolutely. This is the point of departure. We are talking about dating. We're talking about relationships. And the show is a point of departure. So if you're interested in the show, cool.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to get our opinions on dating in general and some of these folks that you may never see.
Also, we don't want to tear these people apart. I think it's like super brave these people go on this damn show. Yeah. Like I don't know that I would have the balls to do that, right?
I want to ask you about your first impressions of each of the characters we've met so far. So I think the first person we met was Suzanne. When I say Suzanne, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
First thing that's come to my mind when you say Suzanne is weird. Suzanne is very out there. So she's they let us know that she used to be an optometrist. She's retired. Mm-hmm. So when you say her, I think white hair, weird.
She is an extrovert.
Yeah. She extra.
She's loud.
Yeah, she extra. And I'm loud.
She's loud. And I guess, too, we should say that the show, Later Daters, is based out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of Southern energy here.
Yeah. Yeah.
62.
It made me think of, like, quirky eye doctors I've had in the past. Yeah. What do you think about her?
I was going to echo your sentiment about, we may, in the course of this discussion, we're going to reflect on our own experiences, our own perceptions. So, like, for instance, if we're talking about somebody who's in the dating pool, maybe I don't find that person particularly attractive, but to your point, we applaud all these folks for having the guts to put themselves out there like that. And so whatever criticisms or is something that maybe that sounds negative that we're throwing out, it is in the context of the show.
Yeah.
If we were on that sort of show, we would anticipate,
people
saying, I think he's ugly.
Absolutely. Right. No, we don't. Stop.
No, but
But you're saying you wouldn't be surprised if people...
If I was on that show, I would expect some people to come back with that.
Of course.
I wouldn't mess with that dude anyway. Yeah. He's too ugly for me.
Yeah.
So
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Of course.
Right?
So I think, we want to be able to be a little bit real here.
Yeah.
Because, you look at somebody, their personality is annoying. They don't look like somebody you would date.
Right.
We need to be able to say that, but again, all respect to the participants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, I was just thinking this too, for the people that they're dating.
Yeah.
The people who are like,
for sure.
I'll go on a blind date on TV. And it's not a personal attack.
Yeah.
So if I say, for instance, to any of these ladies, I don't find her attractive.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
She would probably find me attractive either.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's.
Yeah. So the fact that I'm saying Suzanne is weird, I'm sure she's a wonderful lady, but of course, the little bit that we get to see on TV, it's like, oh, she's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
She is.
So that's what I think about her.
And I think her daughter would agree with you.
Yeah.
She is sure. And so, all right. So that's all our disclaimer. Put that to bed. So now everything all of the meanness that we sling, it has been properly contextualized.
Exactly. Yeah.
Suzanne, to me, she's just the two words I wrote down when I was like because now we're watching these freaking dating shows and I'm taking notes because we're going to do a podcast about it. Not voluminous notes, but just, to try to remember who's who. When I wrote down Suzanne, the first thing I wrote down was loud and white.
Oh, yeah.
Because
you're only used to loud and black. He's like, "Ooh, you could be loud and white."
What a revelation! No, she's more. You know what? I think loud. She really just Southern white.
Yeah,
she's just
no. That's fair. She's definitely Southern white.
Big personality.
Yeah.
So, and I guess her backstory is that her husband had passed away.
Right.
She was married for many years, and so she's been back in the dating pool for a little bit, but hasn't had a lot of luck. And so, I do want to bring up one thing that resonated with both of us. And so before we go on to the other characters, and that's that the dating coach, Logan is her name.
Yeah.
And so I think we both are a little skeptical.
Yes, I was definitely skeptical of her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this just something the show is doing to just make it look legit and feel legit? Because I'm like, who the hell would use a dating coach?
But she comes in, she's like, I have a degree from Harvard and this and that, and I worked at this company.
To be fair, now thinking about it back, she has to say her credentials, like what makes her a dating coach, right?
Yeah.
But
she looks young too.
She looks really young.
Yeah. She might be 30.
And I honestly thought when she first came on the scene, I actually thought that was kind of bullshit. I was like, okay, here we go with some bullshit. You got to put somebody who seems like they are professional.
We got some fake advice person.
Yeah. But you know what? Like I told you before we started filming, I'm warming up to her. Yeah. I can kind of see where she would be useful.
And I think we'll talk about a couple of situations where she seemed to kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but one of the things she said is that, and I'm paraphrasing, but I think I got this basically right. She says, dating in your 20s and 30s is like a startup.
Right.
But dating in your 50s and 60s, when you think about getting together, it's more like a merger.
Like a merger. I was like, wow, that is a perfect way to describe that.
Because, when you're younger, you have less baggage.
Absolutely.
Maybe fewer children.
Yeah.
But it is more like, it's just me.
Right.
It's me, and there you are. It's just you.
Yeah.
Do we want to do
older, when you're in your 50s and 60s, you have more to bring to the table.
Sure.
Right? You're like, how are we going to mesh these things together?
You might have a house. You might have a house.
Right?
More money. You might have children.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's a little, I think the point is it's a little more complicated.
Yeah, for sure. But I think you had a good point when she said that, when we were talking about this. You said, what about dating in your 40s?
Right.
Because that's kind of like,
it's that middle ground.
So,
because I think she kind of picked those numbers a little bit arbitrarily. 20s, 30s,
but
50s, 60s. But we met in our 40s.
Yeah.
So we were kind of in that middle ground. We weren't peaking at retirement.
Right.
We weren't, I didn't have kids out of the house.
Right.
I guess you didn't.
Neither one of us did. Yeah.
But it really was kind of, as we're talking about this and reflecting on our own experience, it really is that middle ground.
Yeah.
Like you're not quite in that later dater. We're all on the rebound from our first marriage, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of a different flavor. So you're not a kid anymore, but you're also not in that later time period. So
exactly.
Right.
Definitely interesting.
So let's get back to the characters. Again, we met 4 out of 6. Next one, what was your first impression or how do you feel about Anise?
Anise.
Describe Anise.
Anise is a beautiful Black woman. She's very curvy. I like her personality.
She's 62.
She's 62, but, typical Black don't crack. She does not look like she's 62. What I love about Anise is that if you watch the show, you'll see she's got a beautiful figure and she loves to show it off.
She does.
I freaking love that because if you're over 50, you've heard, ooh, dress your age. Ooh, you're over 50. You don't need to be wearing that. I love how she's just like, those rules mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
And she looks amazing.
She has a great figure. And she's curvy. She's in proportion.
Yeah.
My dad had a phrase for how he would refer to women who are built like a niece.
Brick house?
Brick shit house. What's his term? His preferred term.
I was gonna say, well, old school is like brick. She's a brick.
Yeah. My dad was born in 1931. He appreciated curvy woman.
That would be a perfect way to describe a niece. Yeah, so she's a brick house.
She is built like a brick shit house.
Yeah. Brick shit house. That meant you're really fine.
Oh yeah, because I heard that.
You guys listening to this and think we're insulting her. We're not. This is actually really a compliment.
And again, homage to my dad, passed in 2015. No, that he would definitely. The brick shit house is a big compliment.
I think the only thing about a niece that, if I could point out, a niece is very educated, and she does not mind telling.
She doesn't. Though she did tell us, I don't like to talk about it. But every time we see her,
how can she say that when everything, like every few seconds, she's talking about it?
Yeah.
Which
now could be the editing.
Listen, and it also, we know that could be the editing, but also, I also have to flip it and be like, I think if I had all that education, I think I would want to talk about it too. That's a big accomplishment. She's like has all the way up to her doctorate.
Yeah. Yeah, and she started at community college.
And now she is someone who, her husband passed away, right?
Yeah, like a long time ago. They said they were together for like 12 years. Yeah. That's how with his daughter.
Right. She doesn't mind talking about her education, but honestly, even though I'm kind of like, she talks about that too much, if I had that, I'd probably talk about it a lot too.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with her. Number one, being proud of that. You should be.
Yeah.
That's quite
totally
that's a wonderful accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And especially, it doesn't sound like, she's like, I started community college, I got my bachelor's, master's, and PhD. And so it doesn't sound like she came up maybe in a family where, the expectation was a PhD.
No.
I think she vastly exceeded.
I'm glad you said that, because she had a lot of challenges along the way in getting those degrees.
The husband passing being the first one.
Yeah. So, which is another reason probably why she talks about it a lot. So, which I can understand. Yeah. But you do hear about her education.
You do. And I think, though, and we'll talk about this as we get into her dates.
Yeah.
That when she does bring that up, because she does bring it up.
Yeah.
How the guys react to that, I think, is important to recognize how invested they are. Because if you're at dinner, you're like, well, where'd you go to school?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I actually got my associates, my bachelor's, my master's, and I actually got my doctorate. And we'll talk, one guy is like, so, how old are you? It's like there's no like accounting or reflection or appreciation of that effort and accomplishment.
Yeah.
Whereas another guy was like, oh, 5'5", that's amazing.
Well, like you said, she had one date, and he was just, and after she said that, he was like, oh my God, that's awesome. I could tell like that's what she normally would want, but that's not what she's used to getting when she says that.
Right.
And we see a little bit of that too.
Right. I think Anise, to me, she's an attractive woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's 62.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've learned that all these people are kind of picky. But I think that is also a byproduct of 50 plus.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? That I don't feel like, and again, it all goes to motivation that, when we started dating, I hadn't been single that long. I was not looking for a wife.
Yeah.
It was only because I met somebody who was so fucking amazing. That I was like,
you talking about me?
Yeah, that's the one. that I was like, I would be really stupid to let her get away.
That's sweet, babe.
So you talk about women like changing your religion. Like, I'm not very religious. So me moving from, I don't need to be married to, I need to marry this woman.
Yeah.
Was a big change. Basically changed my religion.
Right. Right.
But I think, these folks are picky.
They're very picky.
And so we'll talk a little more about that as we go.
Yeah.
All right. So next one we met was Nate. What's your take on Nate?
Nate's a black guy. He used to be in the Army service, Army.
He was
he used to jump out of the planes. He said, paratrooper. Yeah. He said he was the one that jumped out of the planes and ended up getting out early because he had sustained an injuries from that. I think he's a decent looking black man.
Mm-hmm. Is he a decent looking man or just a decent looking black man?
He's a decent looking man. I'm just letting everybody know he's black. Sorry.
He's decent looking for a black guy.
Oh, black dude. No, that is totally not how I meant that.
I'm saving you from the hate.
I know. She with a white dude. That's what.
You're welcome.
Nate had a baby with what is now his best friend, right?
It was a hookup.
So it sounded like when they first met, it was only supposed to be a hookup. And also, very scandalous, she told him she was on the pill, but she wasn't.
Allegedly.
So
I'm going to represent Jackie.
That's what they say on the show. She says it on the show.
No, she says, well, I don't think
she said she was trying the
rhythm method.
But
I don't think she agrees that basically she misrepresented. I think that's the...
Okay, good point. Okay.
So,
well, he makes it sound like she misrepresented.
It does.
Because
I kind of believe.
You even hear the producer ask, so that's kind of weird that y'all are friends now. Like, you're not mad at her for that? And he's like, no, she's the mother of my child, right? So he says, and she's my best friend. So they're best friends. So I don't know. My thing is how is a new lady gonna come in and feel about that? I can tell you right now, if she's black, she ain't gonna like it.
It's a bit odd. And my feeling is that Jackie is very into Nate. I think she still thinks she's cute.
So you think she wants to be in a relationship with Nate?
I think she's definitely open.
And you actually hear the producers ask them that, like, why aren't y'all together? Like, people gonna want to know that. And so I think Nate says something like, we're just friends. Yeah. Like, we were just meant to be friends, nothing else, right?
You have a little bit of a different theory as to why Nate is not with Jackie. What's your theory?
This is just my own personal thing. Again, it's a TV show, y'all. We can,
I'm putting her on the spot because I know the answer is.
It's a TV show, and you gonna be, just stupid and crazy when you watch.
What's your answer, woman?
I feel like Nate doesn't think Jackie's attractive enough.
That's good. You put on Nate. Good. Exactly. Nate doesn't think that.
I don't. You asked me why he's not with her, right? Why I think he's not with her.
Right.
And I really do feel like that. I think he thinks she's not attractive enough. I don't think he's attracted to her. Yeah. I'll say that. I don't think he's attracted to her. No. I'm not saying she's not an attractive lady. He's not attracted to her. I think that's fair to say.
Absolutely. I will go on record to say that I like Jackie. I think she has a wonderful personality.
Great personality. I think she can be a bit much.
I'm just trying to get you in trouble.
I think Jackie, whatever. I think Jackie can be a bit much.
Yeah, but
I feel
intention.
And he probably feels like not only that he's not attracted to her, but also I think he feels like with her personality, they're better as friends.
Yeah. Now, Nate is he's pretty OCD.
Nate is very OCD.
Which I know you find attractive.
And Nate, well, I don't necessarily find it attractive. I'm just saying I love that quality.
I love that quality, not attractive.
Whatever.
I'm not saying I like it. I think it's awesome.
I suddenly feel like I'm on trial here.
No, I'm
in the hot seat.
It's funny. He said it in the show, but I've heard it in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Everything has its place.
Yeah, in my house, everything has its place. And if I see something out of place, I'm like, what is that? What you doing with that? Where is that going to need to go?
Yeah, there are times when I feel like I'm married to Nate. But you're much prettier, so thank you for that.
Nate is very picky.
He is picky. And
you're going to find that's going to be a common theme.
They all
this, like, they're all really, really picky. I think I probably would have expected at this age a little more compromise. Mm-hmm. Like, does that make sense? Like, not so much as, no, you don't like my football team or my baseball team or blah, blah, blah. No.
Right.
Like, I expected a little more compromise with stuff like that.
Yeah. In the sense of, they should know by now that nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to check every box.
Right.
Except for me with you.
That's right, Dad.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. You're so sweet. But yeah, no, I think that's actually a really good point. Does getting older mean that you are less open to meeting in the middle?
Yeah.
Or does it mean that, you know what, I really know me.
Yeah.
And I know that these are my boundaries.
Yeah.
And I don't want to venture out of these boundaries. I need somebody to basically meet me inside these boundaries.
Like, I've been alone this long. Like, if I don't meet somebody that has all of these, then I'll just be by myself.
Yeah, so there's a famous clip of 𝗪𝗏 𝘁. Remember 𝗪𝗏 𝘁?
Mm-hmm. 𝗪𝗏 𝘁.
So 𝗪𝗏 𝘁, first of all, she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She was, I didn't know that it was a crush back then, but she was one of the women who played Catwoman on the old Batman TV show.
Yeah, I remember.
And she was so, I didn't know at the time, because I was like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
She was just so sexy and just like emotive.
She was hot.
She was so hot.
Yeah, she was hot.
All right, so there's a clip here. I love this clip. I've looked at it not too long ago. It kind of speaks for itself. But the point is, they're asking her, would you want to compromise to be with a guy? Okay, got it.
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
Stupid. A man comes into my life and you have to compromise for what? For what? For what? A relationship is a relationship that has to be earned, not to compromise for. When you fall in love, what is there to compromise about? I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.
Love that.
That's cool. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've always heard, oh, it's two people coming together. You're going to have to compromise, make it work, And she's like, and she just looks at it like, what?
She was offended by that notion.
Well, she was so offended by that. She was like, I love me.
Yeah.
And I want somebody that's going to come in and love me too. And like, we just loving me.
And it's funny. I think the first time I saw that, what I took from that was because of that line about, I want somebody to share me with me.
Right.
It feels like she is staying status quo and the other person is being forced to compromise.
Oh.
But that was before I knew this and you and us.
Aww.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not just trying to
I feel it though.
Me personally, I'm not just trying to score points, but I think, we talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
That we just fit.
Right.
And we knew that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like I just being with you made me happy and the pieces just fit.
Yeah.
So now, looking at that now and recognizing, this relationship is not perfect, but it's as perfect as I can imagine a relationship being.
Right.
So, and I think we're on the same page for that. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cheers to that.
Indeed. Like, the best version of what she said, I want somebody to share me with me, is that the person that comes into her, she doesn't feel like she needs to change who she is. Yeah. But then the other person equally feels the same, that it just fits.
Right.
And
that the other person doesn't even want her to change anything by herself.
No.
So I was talking about that with my daughter Hannah, she's 26. And so we just started talking about relationships, and she's into the state of like, oh my God, am I going to have to like change something about myself to meet the right person type of thing. And I'm like, all your quirkiness that makes you you, if somebody's for you, they're going to love that. Like, I'll come in hot about something and you might think it's stupid, but you never ever like make me feel that way. I always feel heard and appreciated. And, it's always, I never feel like you're not listening to me. It's just like all the stuff that people were like, oh, you're going to have to dial back, not be so loud, not do this, not do this. And I just thought that's so stupid. Like, if somebody's for you, they're going to like everything. So to her point, or the kid's point, yeah, why do you need to change anything? That's stupid. Compromise. What?
Yeah. Now, does age change what your deal breakers are?
Oh, of course. I think so.
Yeah.
I think age does change your deal breakers.
So think of 22-year-old Tanya. What were her deal breakers? Do you remember?
Well,
I bet she didn't have a lot.
Well, 22-year-old Tanya probably didn't have a lot of deal breakers. The only deal breaker was probably if you didn't have a job and you didn't have a car. I think you made up a song like, you got to have a job if you want to be with me. Like, it was just like, so it's like, if you didn't have a job, that was a strike against you. And you definitely had to have a car.
I don't know if I've told you this, but I have a job.
You have a job and a car?
I do.
Right? All right. We'll talk later. But yeah, no, I agree. Your deal breakers are different in your 20s versus your later dating.
What were your deal breakers at 44 when you met?
So one of my deal breakers, I didn't want to date anybody with kids. This is the weirdest thing. On my list of stuff that I wrote down, of everything that I want, nowhere on there did it say no kids. But to me...
You thought that was a given.
Yeah, to me, that's a given. Like, to me, like, having no kids was like breathing. Like, I didn't write they had to be breathing on the list. Like,
must have a face.
Yeah, like, that was just as important, that was just simple to me, right? But I thought it was interesting that it wasn't on my list. When I get too deep, and usually it's when I'm taking a gummy or something and I get too deep, I started thinking, well, that's why it was meant to be, bitch.
Or 3 guns. But who's counting? Right? When did you realize that the not having kids part was not on your list?
I know exactly when I realized that. It was on our first official date.
Which was when?
Okay, so our meet and greet.
Coffee date is
Our coffee date. So to me, our coffee date wasn't our real date, but it was our first meeting.
It was.
Right? And so we, commemorate that. So that was 12/14/12.
Which is what day of the week?
Which was a Friday.
Yes, good job.
Okay.
You know what? Clanky.
Clink, 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 clink. Yeah.
Good job.
And we're clinking because I'm the one that's usually wrong.
He doesn't know when we met, when we got married.
No shit.
When
So that was our coffee date. So then we didn't have our first official date until that Sunday because he had his damn kids.
Which was what date? You can do it.
Sunday?
Yep.
It was the 16th.
Yes.
Why couldn't you know that date? Why you
You don't. I just want to see.
Okay, he just tested me.
If you get
okay, now he's just being silly. Okay, so our first official date was that Sunday because you had your kids that Saturday. I knew the minute I got home from that date because I looked at my list the minute.
You still had it then?
Oh yeah, I still had it then.
I wish you would have kept it.
I don't know why I didn't. I just think between moving and just everything, and you know how I'm so OCD, and I'll just take a box and throw it away. I remember getting home from that date and immediately looking at my list because
you want to see how many things I checked off?
I think so. In my head, I just kind of wanted to be like, okay, is this really real?
I don't do.
And so, I come home, I, basically checking everything off the list. And so, and I stop and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't have no kids. I remember having a moment.
And just for the record, she was not internet famous at this point.
I wasn't. No.
Lord knows I tried to find pictures and stuff about you.
You couldn't find crap on the internet.
I could confirm that you were apparently a jazzercise instructor.
You can find all kinds of stuff about me now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. famousbirthdays.com.
I know. I'm kind of excited about that.
That's pretty good.
Who would have thought? I would have never thought I'd be on there. But yeah, I remember having a moment and thinking, okay, what does this mean? I remember thinking, is this I just felt like it was too good. So I was like, something's gonna happen. This is too good. Good things don't happen to me.
Well, we lived in that space for at least 2 years. When we would reflect, oh, this is so great, you're the best, love you so much. Well, we'll see where we are in 6 months.
Give it 6 months.
We'll see where we are in 6 months. I heard that for at least 2 years, probably.
Probably did. You don't hear as much now.
Not as much.
Yeah.
No.
I'm getting used to you now.
Usually when it comes up now, I believe.
Only took 12 years. I'm getting used to you now.
It's seriously the fastest fucking 12 years.
Fastest 12 years. So we digress. So,
but that's the point.
Literally, I think I told you, I was like, this is literally the fastest 12 years of my entire life. So I told him, I was like, we're going to have to separate.
Yeah.
We got to break up. Because I ain't trying to die right now. And I was like, I want to live a little longer. So we're going to have to break up because if I'm away from you, maybe time will slow down. I was like, I'll be miserable. I was like, so he goes, okay, so be miserable and time will go by slow, or be happy and time will go by fast.
But I feel you on that though, because it's the idea that we've been together 12 years.
It's so crazy to me. Honestly, it's just.
Now, my first marriage, that seemed like 142 years. That went slow.
Who you telling? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Clink, clink, clink to that.
Well, and I was just going to say too, that to your original point that you didn't really want to be with somebody who had children. If we take out the issues with my kids, if we eliminate those, we really are, certainly on one hand.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And even those kid issues, we weren't really at each other's throats. It was just uncomfortable. For the most part, as far as teenage girls go, they were not close to the worst.
Oh, God, no. No.
They were just teenage girls who were doing the best they could.
But there were also teenage girls that were influenced by a mom who did not want to be divorced with you and hated me because I was with you.
And because you're pretty.
So that made things way more challenging than it needed to be.
Just to fill folks in, I have 3 children. My son is 27. He is married and lives in Maine. And then my daughters are 22 and 20. My daughters, just FYI, they are adopted. And they are Black. And so I bring that up just because it's relevant to, I'm sure, some things we're going to talk about.
Right, right.
But we've had them, my ex and I adopted them when they were babies. So, my daughter, who's 22, we got her right after her first birthday. The other one we got about at 18 months. So we raised those kids. Those are my daughters.
Right, right.
And so while they were definitely not the worst teenage girls in town, they were just teenage girls who had their own issues. That definitely made it a little spicier.
It definitely made it more spicy.
So back to the show. So the one person that we've met through episodes 1 and 2 that we haven't talked about is Pam.
Pam.
What's your first impression of Pam?
You say Pam, I think when you see the word eclectic in the dictionary, Pam's picture is next to it. Because I always felt like when people use the word eclectic, it meant like, oh my God, you all over the place. Right? That's Pam. I feel as though that's Pam. Right? Like her house is all over the place. Like I think even the dating coach said it seemed like it was a shrine.
Yeah, but she lives in the past.
Yeah.
So
not necessarily, and I do think she lives in the past.
Describe Pam. Let the viewers.
She's in her 60s, right?
I think she's actually 70.
Oh, 70.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, she is. Okay. She looks like she's been through some things. Is that safe to say? So, so like if you think of like a rocker, like somebody who
she's a rocker chick.
Yeah, she's a rocker chick. So think of somebody like was hanging around with these like, old time rock groups and stuff. And now like fast forward, you see them today. That's Pam.
Fair. I don't know this band well, but she apparently, I think, married and had a child. At least had a child.
Somebody, famous band,
in Humble Pie. Well, that's a rock and roll Hall of Fame.
Okay, I don't know who that is. Yeah, but yeah.
So
she was married to Steve Marriott.
Yes.
Okay.
And so he was lead guitarist of Humble Pie.
And that was like a huge.
That's a big deal. We're a little too young to have been Humble Pie fans, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're not on the level of like Aerosmith or the Stones.
Okay.
But they're on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh,
like they're a big deal. Oh yeah, and she had some of his gold records on the wall.
Got it. Yeah.
I thought the dating coach's take on her was spot on. That's probably when I was most impressed with Logan, the dating coach, because I thought she talked about she lives in the past, she lives for the past. It's a bunch of ghosts. Remember she talked about that?
Oh, that's right. That's right. She did say that,
and that was really accurate because she has a hard time living in the moment and then projecting to the future.
No, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. But I guess I was going to say that, like, the dating coach mentioned that after, like, Pam is taking her around her home and stuff. And now her home is crazy eclectic. Like, literally, her home is eclectic. Like, it's just some of everything. You might see a cow over here. You shoot an angel over like
and a gold record over there.
And a gold record on this corner. Like, it's just crazy, right? But, however, I don't think she should hide her past stuff. I think, like you said, her being married to this like famous rocker or whatever. Like if I had been married to Prince or whatever, you see Prince stuff or whatever I stuff up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess at what point does some of her past have to come down off of them walls?
Yeah, basically she's living with ghosts, though, is I think how the dating coach described it, which was not wrong.
Honestly, she wasn't wrong.
No. Well, and we learned, too, that Pam's first husband died, and then
her second husband died. Yeah, Pam got 2 deaths going on. Yeah. So it's like, do you want to marry her again? You might die early. I don't know.
Right. You don't have any dead spouses that I know of.
Not that I know of.
Was she a drinker when she went on her date?
Yeah, she was drinking very heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, she was drinking like shots. We started doing tequila shots.
Did we? Okay.
I think so.
Okay. And quite frankly, for a 70-year-old white woman, she doesn't look bad.
Yeah. You have to preface that with 70-year-old white woman?
I think we all appreciate that the math changes when you're a 70-year-old white woman versus being a 70-year-old other woman.
Other woman like what? Black or Asian?
Black, Hispanic, Native.
Okay.
The white.
You're not just saying that because that's your preference?
The white. My only preference is that women be you.
So you're saying black don't crack?
It do not.
It do not. It do not. Go back. I do think Pam is going to be good TV.
She's something. We will get to it. We'll get one date with her.
But I mean, you do when you think of Pam, you're gonna think of later David. She's gonna be good TV.
Because the one dude we've seen go on a date with her was, if he had hair, he would have been pulling it out. Because she was a challenge on that show.
He was a challenge, but we're gonna stop here because in the next episode
we're gonna
get into their dates, their actual dates. Yeah.
So we will be back next week with another episode. Cheers, baby.
Cheers. Take a sip.
Take a sip.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.